further, just a few words on ETNO. As you may know, ETNO is gathering actually 41 telecom network operators, and most of them have different positions across Europe. Sometimes they have a dominant position in their own country. Sometimes they have a new entrant position in the new countries that they are entering. So, I like very much the way you introduced this debate because actually you reminded us to look at figures. And you asked us to look at ARPU. You raised the question what customers are willing to pay, and it is clear that there are business models behind these issues that will justify or not to invest. So these figures are crucial, of course, for deciding which technology network operators will choose to roll out their networks. It is, of course, this question of whether to choose FTTH or FTTN, fiber to the node, fiber to the home, GPON, point-to-point. So actually, I remember also that in Stavanger at the OECD meeting, I met this other Yankee colleague of you who told us actually never trust a vendor because he will sell you his stuff, he will not sell you a solution. So it is clear that this kind of decision will depend on the topology of the region. It will depend on the population density and of the business models which is behind, of course. So there will be different solutions as reported in your table that you showed us a few minutes ago. So about this, I think it's important regarding the Asian regulatory context to face some realities, as you said. It is clear that tomorrow's services will require much more bandwidth capacity than what DSL has been delivering to date. The traffic is expected to grow sixfold by 2010. What services are we talking about? To name a few, we are looking at services which will provide solutions in the fields of climate change, because some of us will not commute anymore. Some of us will stay working at home. We are looking at services like assistance to elderly, healthcare, distance learning and security. And you see that broadband can contribute to solve important challenges for our society. How much will that cost? More than 300 billions are needed to upgrade existing EU infrastructure to fiber. The problem is the following. According to analysts, the current investment rate will request more than 15 years to deploy fiber across Europe. Is it acceptable for you? The European Commission likes to refer to some exceptions in Scandinavian countries where fiber penetration rates exceed the United States level. But reality is different. The average European situation is different. We lag behind other economical regions like Asia and US. So, compared to the regulatory environment in this region, it is also true that to say that the EU regulatory approach is the middle and the most difficult way. In Asia, some deployment parts have been subsidized by governments without questions on the market demands. In the US, the regulation policy has been applied. In the EU, we are trying the hard way. A decade after the start of the liberalization process, we see that the regulatory framework has allowed some alternative operators to rely extensively on the incumbents' infrastructure without acquiring their own infrastructure. Infrastructure competition was an objective of the framework, however. There is no legal provision which forces new entrants to invest after a defined period if they don't want to. So what do we do from there? The Commission keeps saying that the old rules will apply to the new broadband world. Some weeks ago, a senior EC official said again that the current framework will accommodate NGN. No substantial changes are included in the proposal. The Parliament, however, instead requested to bring back these issues at the center of the review debate, and we are very happy about that. ETNO is not against regulation. I repeat, ETNO is not against regulation. We simply want regulation to be more proportionate and targeted where real competitive problems remain. For reaching these objectives, we have three proposals. The first one being geographical segmentation that we mentioned. Regulation should allow implementing a real and effective geographic approach of national markets. Defining subnational markets areas would simply allow taking into account different competitive realities and adapt regulatory regimes accordingly. We see three types of zones. Non-competitive areas, Zone A, where regulated access should be maintained, as only one or no infrastructure exists. Prospectively competitive areas, Zone B, where ex-ante regulation should be limited to symmetric obligations like Dutch sharing. Competitive areas, where no regulation should be imposed as platform competition exists. Some will tell you that geographic segmentation is already possible under the current framework. It is true. But 6 years after the adoption of the 2002 framework, we noticed that the UK regulator, Ofcom, has been the only one to propose this approach at market definition level. And by the way, the Commission has been contesting the methodology which has been applied. The Commission said we did not object because the results would have been the same if the EC methodology would have been applied. So I would not call that regulatory certainty. Others will tell you that the geographic segmentation approach is a danger for rural areas. The relevant question there is what is the cost of the absence of geographic segmentation for these rural areas. If national markets are maintained, then regulated operators will be unable to compete against unregulated operators like cable. For instance, in this case, the lost market shares will hardly enable them to make targeted offers in these areas. There is a spillover effect to be in mind. The second proposal that ETNO is tabling is, of course, Dutch sharing. And I think that in Portugal, you are the champion of that, or you have been pioneering this approach. The only thing is that we are willing to propose all operators, all Dutch carrying e-communication networks to be shared, meaning that all players of this sector should share those ducts, but also beyond this sector. In Belgium, for example, gas line distributions have included a possibility to blow fiber in specific ducts. I know it is not the case in France, for example, but in other countries it has been considered. You have other ducts to be considered, like power line transmissions and so on. So, of course, this would apply where competition is only emerging prospectively. The third proposal is related to risk sharing. In case of remaining economic bottlenecks and where new entrants are not ready to invest yet, our message is simple. If you are not ready to do it now, okay, let's share the risk then, and let's sign long-term contracts with a commitment on minimum quantities. If you don't like long-term commitments, choose